Welcome back to the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico. Blitz. Subscribe, like, comment, rate. We're also on YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. So you can hear us and you can see my face at the same time. Whatever your preference is, man. It's finally getting warm in Los Angeles, and you guys can only see my upper half, but I'm finally wearing something bright. I'm wearing shorts underneath and like no socks, nothing. I don't even have my chinelas on right now. Right now, though, my next guest, he has a cup of water sitting right across from me, and I'm extremely jealous of it because it's hot as hell. He goes by the name of Dpih. What's popping, man?
What's good, bro?
But you could call him Derek.
Yeah, what's up?
So I think, can I just go by Derek for this whole podcast,
that's fine.
man? Okay.
That's fine, Nico. Dude, I'm like completely the opposite. I'm like wearing dark clothing, But, it's just...
It's
just
all
a vibe.
good, man. No, it's all a vibe, man. Because normally I'm wearing like all the dark clothes and whatnot. I'm usually decked out in just like all black because that's what I like. But I'm like, it's sunny today. I might as well just switch it up.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
Yo, so Derek, he actually, I think you reached out to me on Instagram a while ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like about 3 weeks ago or something. I was like, hey, yo... I heard about your podcast. I heard Dan Boy on it. I really fuck with his music. I just want to reach out and see if we could link sometime. And now I'm here.
Now you're here, man.
Honor.
And you know what got me was the fact that you were just super polite.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, seriously, because like normally I'll get people like hitting me up in the DM like, hey, bro, check out my music. It's like, okay, man, but I don't know anything about you. Like, I don't know nothing, but you at least came with like some sort of substance and like a willingness to be like, hey, this is me. I'm interested in what you're doing. Can we get something going?
Yeah, definitely. I was sending like the DM, like I was showing that DM to like, a couple of my friends, like and they were like, yeah, that looks nice. yeah. Send it. And I'm like, are you sure you think it's like not too ASCII or whatever? And then they're like, no, it's cool. I'm like, it looks professional. And I'm like, oh. Dope.
No, for real, because I'd be doing that same shit whenever I want to reach out to somebody. I'm like, man, I'd be like double checking everything. I'm like, okay, am I not like too aggressive? Am I aggressive enough? Like,
right.
It's like always like words after words just getting wrapped around my head.
Right, it's crazy because like as an artist and all that stuff, you gotta be your own PR and all that stuff, and you just gotta wear a bunch of hats. You feel me? Like, you gotta make your music, and then you gotta like reach out and do all that other stuff,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when you're like an up and coming artist, man.
Right.
Like, like later down the line, it's like you got somebody to do everything for you.
Dude,
but
that'd be dope. I mean, like, isn't it like interesting that there's so many artists that have like teams around them? Like a lot of people, like a lot of like these up and coming, they have like whole tribes of people trying.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it's crazy to me, and I want that, but like at the same time, like I'm super independent, so it's like.
Well, see, I think the misconception comes from, I think Chance the Rapper helped out with this a lot, where he just put on, like, independency. I'm an independent artist.
Yeah.
But an independent artist doesn't necessarily only mean, like, it's him and only him. Like, he has a manager. He has people who, like, help him out with, like, his day-to-day stuff. Independent in the sense of, like, Chance the Rapper is that I'm just not signed to a label.
Yeah.
I'm an independent artist, not signed to a label.
Yeah, I see. No, I mean, no, it's crazy, man. It's like but it gets stressful for like upcoming artists and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
just to try to get their stuff out there and just reaching out and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
My big thing is like, if you're able to do everything by yourself, you're gonna attract somebody's eye and be like, oh hey, like, I see you might need help with this or you might need help with that.
Right.
That way you as like the brand or like the main person can be like, okay, well, yeah, you can alleviate this from me. That way I can focus more on, like, the artistry. And so for you, like, I think it was interesting because when I went on your Instagram, it said, like, you're an RN too.
Yeah, bro. I'm a registered nurse, man. It's crazy.
And I was like, how the hell does this guy have time to be a registered nurse and an artist?
What's funny is that I put up a poll, well, not a poll, but like an IG, like, oh, ask me anything. One of them was like, how do you balance work life and then like the music thing that you got? And I just answered like, just plain speak, just... it's all about necessity, like the necessity of needing to make money to do your passion, and then the necessity of me needing to get my story out there that motivates me to like push my music. You know what I mean? So it's an odd dichotomy, definitely. Like, at work, I'm not like that super like artisty. I'm super professional and all that.
You're
stuff.
not like singing while
Right.
you're like, passing out medicine.
Well, my
and
coworkers
whatnot.
know all about the music too, but
Okay.
I just try to downplay it as much as I can over there. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, it's just interesting. Like I'm always trying to reconcile the differences of the two worlds that I'm a part of, like the artistry side and then the RN side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like it would be extremely hard to balance that. Like, when do you even go in for your day job as a registered nurse?
I work the night shift, bro. So and I'm not sure if you're familiar with I'm sure you're familiar with like nursing schedules. Like it's like 3 days on and then like 4 days off sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I got time, like it's 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. sleep for like 5 hours and then again for 2 other days and then on my first day off, I'm like sleeping for like 12 hours to recuperate and then I'm back in like music mode. You feel me?
So then you basically have 3 days in a row to just work on music.
Right. It makes for not an interesting social life, that's for sure. But I'm doing what I love. Both nursing and music.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really kind of rare that somebody's like in both of those fields at the same time. And you wanted to be a nurse growing up, or
It wasn't growing up. I was actually like a biochem major at UC Riverside way back in 2008. And when I got into like certain courses, I'm like, I don't know. Like I was doing the biochem stuff to be like a pharmacist, and I was like, man, this shit's boring. Like we go like 8 years of schooling to like count pills, read labels. I mean, shout outs to all the pharmacists that I work with. Y'all cool and shit. But I just couldn't see myself. I need that human factor. So it was actually a conversation with my ex-girlfriend's mom. Like my parents never pushed me to be like anything like a doctor or anything. So which is atypical for like Filipinos.
Yeah, shout out to the Pinoy parents who do that though.
Exactly, right. And she was like, well, I know that your passion is music, so why don't you do something that's sort of practical like a nurse? I'm like, a nurse? Like, no. Like, listen, like, hear me out. She was like my friend's in like an aspiring actress, and she only works like 3 days. And after those 3 days, she's out and auditioning and for roles and stuff like that. And I'm like, no way, that's super tight. Like, a way to find like practicality in it. But like, there are some times where I have regret to like not go full in on my music, because obviously like if I were to only wear the music hat, I feel like I could have like done more with my music, because like I've only been taking this music thing seriously for like 2 years or something. Like recently 2 years or so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I was going back on your YouTube page, and then your YouTube goes all the way back to like 9 years. There was like
you did your searching?
Yeah, there was like a failed AJ Raphael cover or something.
Shit. That's the homie. Shout out to AJ Raphael. He just turned 30. Okay, so I took.
So you were
rewind.
so seriously, you've been doing music for 2 years.
Yeah.
But then it goes like way back.
It goes way back, like back in like 07 and 08 when I was a biochem major at the time. Like I was kicking it with like the first or second wave of like Asian artists, like AJ Raphael and like Kathy Wynn and all them stuff. And they're doing like the acoustic stuff, and like I fucked with that really heavy, and like that was back when I did like YouTube covers as well. I did not know I did not privatize that video though.
You got to go back now, huh?
I know, right?
It's only like 10 seconds long. No, but if you do end up seeing the video before he ends up taking it off, like like his grandma, his Lola, is just like in the background speaking in what was it, Tagalog? Yeah, just speaking in Tagalog, and I was like, wait, so is the cover actually gonna happen or not?
No, it never did, bro. It never did. Oh man, that's so funny that you brought that up. Caught me off guard, bro. I was unprepared.
You were unprepared.
Yeah.
Shout out to the song that you have out right now.
Into...
It's called Unprepared.
Yeah.
But back then you said you were kicking it with people like AJ Raphael.
Yeah. And we're still homies, and like I came up with those guys. I mean, not to the level of success that they're at currently right now. Because like I said, like my regret was not going full in on my music. I feel like I would have been, still with them and all that stuff. but I went to nursing school, and like nursing school, you need to dedicate yourself fully onto that. Like I was still making beats and like bullshitting and all that stuff, but it wasn't like I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
put
couldn't
stuff
like
out.
fully develop yourself with it.
Right.
So at that point, like while you're doing nursing school, it was kind of just like on the side. Music was just kind of on the side for you.
Right, and I definitely, am grateful for that experience because I got to see firsthand from an outsider perspective that scene grow and like see if there were any mistakes along the way for these artists that like I was
Ah,
and then now when I come back into the scene, I'm like I make sure not to do this and not to do that and
I
all that
get you.
stuff.
So it's like
Yeah.
over the years, like while you're studying like what medicines to give out, you're also studying, oh, this is what I shouldn't do, like
Yeah,
in
bro.
terms of like a music career.
And I've always dovetailed the two things together. Like in nursing school, like my final projects were always like fucking music videos, like discussing like different medications and whatnot. It's really corny and shit, and that's why I privatized that shit. But
Oh, okay. Since you privatized that, like what describe like your project?
so like okay, well, nursing school, there's a group of Filipinos. Us Filipinos, we love to sing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of people that were willing and like super down to like do music videos to like instead of doing a PowerPoint on like this drug is this and it does that, that, and that, we would take covers of like poppin' songs back in the day. Like I think one of them was Usher, Hey Dad or Hey Daddy.
Daddy?
Yeah. It was that song, but then we changed it to this medication called Dilaudid. Or no, Dilantin, and that Dilantin is
Hey,
Dilantin.
Dilantin.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah,
see?
exactly.
Same page. Me on the same page.
Yeah, man. And it was just fun. Like I was sort of infamous in that school. Like, oh man, I don't want to be in this guy's class because he's gonna make a bomb ass project and just gonna kill our PowerPoint and shit. You feel me?
That's hilarious, man. But I mean, I think it goes to show how passionate you were not only about music, but also doing nursing too.
Yeah, man.
Because you know what I mean? Like, I think what's very draining is when people just solely do like any career just for money, but knowing that you can have fun with it and kind of put your little twist to it, it's like, okay, well then either way, if you're doing nursing or you're doing music, like you're enjoying yourself because you love it.
Yeah, definitely. Love doing nursing. I think I love music more though, but I mean, it's neither here or there. It's just like this is what I do. This is what I am. I'm a musician. I'm a nurse. I wear a lot of hats. What does sort of not irritate me, but sort of and not annoy me really, but disappoints me would be like coming across other nurses that definitely have a passion for the arts, but don't want to pursue that. And I'm like, if I'm doing, you could do it too. Shit, like,
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I think everybody's circumstances just come a little bit more differently.
absolutely.
Because, like, even though you have, 3 or 4 days out the week to focus on music, somebody might not be as fully motivated as you want to do.
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean? And, especially growing up with somebody like AJ Raphael, who's had like an amazing career,
Yeah.
still to this day.
Yeah.
I feel like that might also be like a little bit of motivation for you. Like, oh, well, that's the homie, and I know he can do it.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what else to add to the whole me being an artist and a nurse at the same time. It's just, this is just like you said, it's just my circumstances.
Yeah.
And like what I'm motivated to do is, get this bread with the music, get this bread with the nursing. And if it works, it works. You feel me?
No, for sure. I love that for sure, man.
Definitely, man.
That water is still looking really good, by the way.
I know, man. You want some? We could pull up.
No,
a
I'm
cup.
good, man. I'm good right now. So you being like a Filipino American man, like, how did your parents take it 2 years ago when you're like, I kind of want to go full in on this music thing?
They still don't get it. I love my parents to death. They want me to be as successful as possible. I think that's the truth for like any Asian parents. They want you to like stay on a clear-cut path of practicality to, have financial success. Their version of success, I believe, is like financial security.
For sure.
So when they saw that I was spending all this money for like new studio equipment, new mics, and they find my invoices for like music videos and their stuff like, what, you're supposed to be saving and all that stuff, and I'm like, but it's what I want to do, you know. Like they're proud of me, I could tell, but at the same time, it's like they know in the back of their mind they sort of regret giving me piano lessons back when I was like 5 and shit. You feel me? But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they planted the seed way back when. Like,
Right.
here, let's give him piano lessons because
Your fault.
Yeah. No, but even like I went through piano lessons like back then. It's like I wasn't really that good at it. But then like growing up, I found myself like buying a microphone. I have a MPD like somewhere over here that I still like mess around with, and it's just because like, you know, at the end of the day, like my parents never really pushed like the doctor lawyer thing on me. They were kind of just like, do what you want to do, but at the same time I'm still in like this position in which like it's hard to convince, I'll just say, Filipino American parents like you know, being in like the entertainment industry is actually a thing and you can actually thrive in this industry.
You know what's funny though? It's I think like maybe for our generation that's true, but I feel like the younger generation of Filipinos, like the 14-year-olds to like 20-year-olds right now, like I think they have really supportive parents. Like there's so like I think that's the power of representation too. Like the more faces that they see of, you know, Filipinos and all that stuff on YouTube, even our parents, then I think this younger generation and their parents are like, no, if you want to do that, you could do that. Yeah, which is super cool. Yeah.
Well, I've had like plenty of talks about like generational differences, and it's like, are you're first generation here?
Yeah.
Okay, so then like the generation, like our parents, our grandparents who like moved over here, when they moved here, their first thing is like, well, we need to make money and we need to make a lot because we need to, you know, expand our family over here. We need to be able to survive. Now, us being first generation Filipino Americans, we're like, okay, well, you guys did the survival part. Now, you know, at least for me, I always feel like I'm doing what they vicariously want to do, like through me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because my grandfather, I actually just learned he used to write all the speeches for the president back in the Philippines.
No way, that's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And, you know, he was always about like speech and writing. My dad, who moved out here, he couldn't do that, but he loves to talk. He likes to do music. Now that everything's established, I'm over here and I'm like, okay, well, I can podcast, I can talk to people, you know what I mean? And it just, you know, you could see that my dad's generation it kind of just skipped, you know, and it goes from my grandpa, skips my dad, then to me.
That's so funny. Like that's the same thing when, well, not the same thing, but similarities. Like my grandmother was like, rest in peace to my grandmother. Not the same Lola that you saw in the video, but
yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. She was super into music. Then her children were like super into like everything else, like architecture and politics. And now skip another generation, me and my sister are doing like what we love to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
super crazy.
It has everything to do with like the generational differences, man. And I only learned that through doing multiple podcasts.
Really?
Like it really makes sense now.
That's crazy. Like, you know, podcasting is crazy. This is my first podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing well, by the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, like just like, I mean, not conducting podcasts myself, but just listening to your podcast and stuff. Like, there's so much inspiration and like knowledge to pull inspiration from. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just saying you're doing.
Well, I mean, that's why it's like 60 minutes. I'm like, it's 60 minutes, bro. You'll find one thing. You'll find one thing in there. But you know, like interviewing like a whole bunch of Filipinos, like I never really understood what it meant to represent someone or like a group of people until like, you know, I find people like yourself. Just last week I found somebody named Just Matthew. And you guys were on like the same playlist on Spotify.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
On the
like Pinoy rap.
Oh,
or
really?
Whatever.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
on Pinoy rap. And I was like, wow, there's like a super small cluster of Filipinos who are like making music in Los Angeles. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't kind of band together.
Absolutely. Like what Mark Redito was talking about in your previous podcast, like to have like this community of Filipinos and not be cliquey and just trying to raise each other up. Like, I think that's such a fantastic idea. I followed him right after he said that. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
How come? Okay, so I have my own reasoning, but why do you think like there hasn't been enough Filipino representation that's been like built together?
That is tough. Well, I mean, like, and it's crazy because if I could remember the statistics, we're like like one of the bigger minorities here in California and in the States,
Yeah.
right? So, it's interesting. And my theory is that um, there's not enough people doing what we do, or like taking the creative route. Like, it's slowly growing with like I could name drop Pilo in the Bay Area, Manila Gray in Vancouver.
Amazing.
Seriously,
Amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely. We got Killy and Russell who used to go as Dpih out in Toronto.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we got Adrian Pear in like the Bay Area really holding it down with the cinematography and all the production and all that stuff. I feel like once we have like these good anchors, more anchors like across the United States and worldwide, then they'll come together to be a unified sort of thing. And there's, like there's different types of Filipinos out there too, like different styles and all that stuff, which they don't necessarily mesh well together. But that's besides the point. It's just, I feel as though we should push forward to like a more unified Filipino creative collective, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because at least from my perspective, Filipinos are extremely creative. I'm sure you've been through this, like going through like Filipino parties, everybody's doing karaoke.
Right.
The way the food is made, it's kind of like I've never seen food cooked like that before.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what I mean? It might be my personal bias because I'm Filipino, and that applies to like every single other culture, to each his own.
Right.
But I also feel like Filipinos are very prideful, and I think the pride it's a good and a bad thing, because the pride can either put us all together, or the pride can make us feel like, well, I have to be the first. I have to be the one to do it.
Oh, that's interesting. That's your theory on like,
Yeah.
That is very interesting. I forget what it's called, this theory of like crab mentality. Not sure if this is applicable here.
Try it. Let me see.
Crab mentality is the theory that if someone were to rise up, other people, due to envy, jealousy, or whatever, will pull them down. So same way as like how a crab would be in like a bucket and like a crab would try to get out, but then they would like pull the crab down. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's applicable here, because I feel like for the most part, us Filipinos are supportive of each other, unless there's like a strong difference of opinion, or like something that doesn't resonate with them. Like, that's not really what I'm about. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the crab mentality actually is a good point to this, because I just see like in hip hop by itself, it's like once somebody gets their shine, it's like, oh, they're an overnight success.
Right.
Oh, they're a culture vulture. It's like, can't you just be happy that one person made it?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I know I'm happy when people make it, shit,
Yeah.
especially if they're Filipino.
It's like when so it's kind of like when Jeremy Lin, like Jeremy Lin played on the Warriors first.
Right.
And so once I seen him, I was like, wow, there's actually one Asian motherfucker in the NBA.
Right.
And like in terms of music, like growing up, like, DJ Qbert, Filipino DJ from the Bay, really good. Nump, another rapper from the Bay.
I got Graves.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah.
Hey, see, you know what I'm talking about. But for familiarity's sake, once Bruno Mars made it to the world, granted he's like maybe a fourth or a third Filipino. Like, he looks Filipino, so I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
good
definitely.
for us.
Yeah.
Good for you and good for us, but good for you first.
Right. Yeah, and in the concept of overnight success, like, people don't see the back, the years of like toiling away at your craft, the tears and the pain, the sweat, and everything. That's why it sort of irks me when people ask like, how did you finesse your way into this?
I hate that word.
Right.
I hate that word.
I know, but it's a tight song by Bruno Mars, so shout out to Bruno Mars. Yeah, and I'm like, well, it's just hard work and patience, I guess. And and my heart goes out to like everyone that's really struggling right now. Like I know with the little bit of success that I have right now is impossible. It's impossible unless I had like the support of the people that are listening to my music. But yeah, what were you talking about? I forgot.
It's all good, man. Yeah, I hate that word finesse because I always see finesse as kind of like you just like make your way through without actually earning it too well,
Right. Fuck that shit. We work hard for this shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Thank you. We fucking work hard for this shit, and that's all it really is.
Yeah.
Listening to that Pinoy rap playlist, like, was a not undecided.
Unprepared.
Unprepared.
Yeah.
Unprepared. It was on there, right?
Yep. Yeah.
How'd that song come about?
It's funny. I was talking to my friend just like a couple days ago about how the song came about. It was actually through a friend. He sent me an IG post of like a friend that we had, a mutual friend that we knew from UC Riverside. Oh shit, I should say this shit. But anyway, and he thought like she was super fine from the get, and I'm like, oh, she's all right, whatever. And then she sent me, I'm like, oh damn, she's actually pretty. She glowed up for real. And I'm like, damn, I was taken aback. I was unprepared, and I was like, oh, that's a song idea. And literally, that song was like made in like 10 minutes. It was like one of the quickest and funnest songs I've ever had to write. And I just went to the studio and I just threw it down. And I'm like, all right. It was actually in the vault for a long time. It was like I was holding on to it for like almost 7 months.
7 months?
Yeah, because there was so much stuff going on in 2018 that I couldn't like think about like release scheduling and all that stuff. Like 2018 was a really busy year for me. I think it's what gave me the foundation to like finally do more bigger and bigger
Focus on music.
Yeah. And like get that playlist placement. It was just crazy to me. I never really thought that could have happened.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, because when I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this guy doesn't sound Filipino, nor does he sound like he's from LA. So then I think this song could really do well. Mm-hmm. And I think you just released the music video last week too, and I'm thankful that you didn't make it some cheesy rap video, dog.
Oh man,
bro, because like the last thing I don't like it when rappers do videos and it's just like 3 angles, and I'm like, I need some sort of storyline with
right.
it.
Yeah, and the money guns and the rented Lambo in the back, you feel me? Like
hella asses in the background, you feel me?
Which is funny because when I started like taking it seriously, I was telling like my cinematographer friend, I need these things, like these typical rapper things. And he's like, no, fuck that shit. We're gonna go full on like storyline narrative and all that stuff. His name's Eugene Lee. He's super dope. Like Eugene is like my old friend from elementary school, and he's like popping off with the cinematography stuff. And like if you ever check my music videos, it's never just like a performance. Like there has to be some sort of narrative going on with the music video.
Well, that's why in the music video, you had 3 mannequins, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 yellow, was it?
1 red, 1 blue, 1 yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, like 3 mannequins, and like he wasn't necessarily switching off, but I was like, okay, I kind of get it. He was unprepared, but then he's talking to a mannequin the whole time. I'm like, it's kind of like satire in that sense. Like you could place anybody in that situation, and basically like you just don't know what would happen for the rest of the day. You don't even know how the conversations would go.
Yeah, it's funny because that whole concept has nothing to do with the song at all. It was supposed to be exploring the superficiality of social media, how I fall in love with like a mannequin.
Oh.
Yeah, how I fall in love with a mannequin and its superficiality, like mannequins being obviously fake and all that stuff. It's what we would like to portray ourselves in social media, how we're a billboard, how it's our highlight reel, you know what I mean? So I wanted to play around with the idea and like, make a really absurd music video. I mean, it's still fun. It looks like I'm self-serious. But
so then the heart eyes emoji at the end makes a lot more sense now.
Right.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. But it's a shame how we have to use social media nowadays in order to sustain ourselves. I guess I don't know, in terms of like popularity.
It's a necessary evil. Like I was watching another podcast and they're saying essentially what your numbers in social media is your credit score when it comes to like getting gigs or like proving your worth, I guess. And it's a shame because there's a lot of people that have really low numbers that I feel like are super talented and super ready to make it. But they're not focused on social media. They're focused on their craft.
On their craft, yeah.
Right. So that's another thing. That's why we need teams. You know what I mean?
No, that's definitely why we need teams. But then, going back to your point was that I've known of people who have like millions of followers, but then they have like a show at like the Roxy or the Novo and no one shows up.
Yeah, that's a shame too. I think that's like that's the sad part of social media. We feel maybe those followers are like legit. Maybe those are inflated followers because I know that's a common practice too, or using bots to do like the follow, unfollow, comment, and all that stuff. Like I hate that shit, but I understand that that's their version of a hustle. Maybe it's just so they could make more time to do their craft instead of actually engaging with their audience. But yeah, I never want to be that person that has like a bunch of followers but no one come into the show. That's why I don't do shows right now. You feel me?
There we go.
Yeah.
Because eventually I think for you in particular, like it'll just translate later on once you have gained like a more organic following, because at the end of the day you don't want like 10K and then nobody shows up.
Right.
100K, nobody shows up. I'm like, bruh, like that's whack as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, like if I try to like book a small venue, like I'm sure like my family will come. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll be a different story in the Philippines because I don't know, that song's popping off over there.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, like because of the Pinoy playlist, like I'm looking at my Spotify analytics, like thousands of people from the Philippines, like Makati City and Quezon City, like those are my main listeners right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, especially since it's like a pure English song just like trending over there.
Right, yeah, and then I see the people that I'm like in between and like not up against, but like in between in that playlist. Like there's people that I listen to, like I don't know the art, X Battalion.
Okay.
And whoever the guy, the rapper that did Big Lang Liko, like I love that song. Like when I went to the Philippines.
Glock 9? No.
Was it Glock 9? I don't think it was
I don't
Glock
know.
9. It was more melodic in a sense. But yeah, no, it was crazy. Like it's definitely a huge honor to like be with those people in the same ranks as those people.
Oh, for sure. And I think in a sense it kind of gives you that, just a little bit more push to be like, yeah, like I should be doing this.
Right, it's that affirmation, and I've searched all this time to find that positive affirmation through friends, through family, and then putting out music sporadically throughout the years, and now it just feels right. It feels like this is the right place and this is the right time, despite how long it took me to get here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that I wish I did it sooner, but at the same time, the universe has it for me right now.
The universe definitely has its ways of going about things. Like, I think the worst thing is when somebody tries to, like, force their way into a situation.
Right.
But, like, I think the best things in life just happen naturally, like, because, Lord knows people do payola just to, like, get on these Spotify playlists, and it's like, bruh, like,
absolutely.
I know it helps, but it would be a lot cooler if you just did that shit organically. That's what happened to you, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah, there was.
Thanks for not making me look dumb by saying that.
Yeah, no, I never had to pay to get onto Spotify players, for the record. Yeah, yeah, it was a surprise. I was literally unprepared to have Unprepared on those playlists.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Do you even speak Tagalog?
You know what? I understand it completely, but like my conjugation is like a kindergartner, and I suck real bad. Like my pronunciation, I don't think is too bad, but at the same time, if I try to speak it, it's slow, and I sound really dumb.
Well, you really have to think of your words. You're like, kamusta?
Yeah.
Kana?
Yeah.
Mabuti lang.
Right. Or like just like even in the workplace, like they would laugh at me if I try to speak in Tagalog.
God.
Yeah. So I'm like, Okay, I won't even try.
Yeah, it's like y'all already understand me in English. There's no point
Exactly.
in me like doing Tagalog to you guys.
Right. Yeah. Anyway,
It's all good. Man, a lot of Filipino talk. Do you feel like because there's not so much representation for like Filipino Americans in entertainment, do you ever feel like you have to be like that person or you want to like lead the way for people?
You know what? I was asked this question like probably like 2 years ago, and at the time I didn't really have a concise answer. Now being older and being mindful of like where I am in my artistry, I feel like I do have a responsibility to uh, put the Filipino people on. You know what I mean? I know there's there's artists like Ruby Ibarra that's been putting down for the Filipino community from the get. Like my sister's a huge fan of her and all that stuff. And I'm a big fan too. Like I remember when she was doing like YouTube videos with like Lee J and all that stuff, the beatboxer from the Bay.
Man, yeah.
And I was like way back. And I mean, back to the point, like it's funny because I never really thought of this. And you know, when I'm driving on my commutes, like I would just put random beats on, and then I would just freestyle some bullshit lyrics. But then, like just yesterday, I was like, oh, I got some like Filipino bars, like for like putting on for my Filipinos and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it should be a responsibility, like especially since we are Filipino, to put on for Filipinos. You know, it makes logically it makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like I remember I remember being on Instagram, and then Nudes was with DJ So Super Sam, and they had like a whole Jollibee like collection, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, you know, it's kind of corny, but it's kind of tight too.
No, that's funny as shit. And like I love News and So Super Sam's branding. It's like they're super eclectic and like, but there's also super talented. Like I watched their sets and all that stuff, and like they get the party going, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, going back to the point, it's like, you know, I mean, DJ Cubert's still probably one of the best DJs ever, but like I think in terms of like popularity and in terms of like who everybody is able to recognize at this time, like Nudes and DJ So Super Sam is definitely there, and it took a Pilo and a Bruno Mars to kind of open up that door for them.
Right. Like if we're going back to another point, it's the universe working. You know what I mean? And much success to them. And I don't know.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Dpih, man. So like Unprepared, that thing's out right now. I think it's at like what 50K on Spotify. Right now. Music videos out. Like what else do you have for the rest of the year?
I got like the ideas are swirling in my head like all the time, like, and I'm super indecisive as well. So I'm not sure if I want to do an EP next or just a couple singles or all this stuff. But like for sure, I want to do like a collection of songs that are just like sad boy music. You know what I mean? And then
I love that.
And then afterwards, do an entire album where it's sad boy music, and then go back to like summery vibes and all that stuff, and probably do an album release party like I did last year. So
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you have one album out right now.
Yeah, and that album release party was super lit. So I want to do that again, but probably later on in the year, probably around my birthday or so.
When's your birthday?
August.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will be there in August because this man pulled up to my birthday. I was stupid drunk. And I was like, yo,
you were super lit, bro.
It's Derek. It's like, what the fuck is going on right now?
I was just pointing at you. I'm like, and you're like, Derek, and I'm like, yeah, what's up?
Yo, I appreciate you like pulling up to that shit though,
Definitely,
man.
bro.
But yeah, dude. Honestly, like after listening to Unprepared, it totally put me back to when I was maybe like 15, 16, 17, because like the music just, it was very like vibey, and it just made me like sing along to it. I think it was like Shawty Shawty got me unprepared.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, I had it in the car though.
Right.
I did have it in the car, but I was like, you know what? I think this guy's career can actually go pretty far. I think this is like a good like stepping stone. Like
Thank
I know
you.
this is like the starting point, but it's a really good starting point to be at. You feel me?
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate you listening and all that stuff. And in regards to like feeling like you're 15, 16, like I derive most of my inspiration and my melodic lines from like things that I listened to back when I was like 15 and 16 too. So a lot of like emo and like that's why like the melodies on trap beats, like that's why I describe my sound as like a whimsical trap music with pop sensibilities.
All right.
Yeah,
Say
like
that 5 times fast.
I can't. But yeah, I had to try really hard to say that without stuttering. But yeah, like the like I'm more of like I can't really put a label on it, but like I like melodies. I like
Filipinos like melodies, bro.
right.
We
I like
really do.
and like when it comes to like being like super lyrical, I'm not good at that, but I could like forge my melodies into like any instrumental, and it's just yeah, that's like my thing, like to be super catchy, like how you were.
Well,
just,
yeah, no, but I think if you're like a straight up like rapper, then you need to be like extremely lyrical because at some points it gets repetitive. But you
Right.
having the upside of being able to maneuver through like different melodies, it's like you can get away with. You can get away with like particular rhymes. You can get away from saying like the same thing because you just make it sound a lot more different than what's out.
right.
That's why I think a lot of like rappers nowadays want to incorporate melodies.
Absolutely, they do, and like I came back into doing music again at the right time. I feel like because this stuff is the same stuff that I was doing like in high school, and back then it was definitely not like as accepted as it is right now. I was on IG Live and I got a lot of younger followers. Like I'm 29, so I got like followers who are like 15, 16, 19, whatever. They're like super young. And I showed them my old stuff and I said, this shit is trash. My bad for y'all listening to this stuff. And they're like, what the heck? You're like a pioneer. You were auto-tuned before auto-tune was
Damn,
like
there we
mainstream."
go. Shout out T-Pain.
Exactly. Biggest inspiration. Musical inspiration is T-Pain. And,
really?
And
Amazing.
and the dream. And the dream.
Oh, bro, we probably like the same fucking music.
Yeah.
Man. You probably listen to like Neo, Mario,
Yup.
B2K. Oh, man.
B2, yes. Baby, turn around and
Womp, womp, womp.
Exactly. And the big thing about T-Pain and The Dream is like they were also not really accepted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
T-Pain like got a lot of hate just for using
auto-tune,
autotune,
yeah.
but now he won the Masked Singer and all that stuff without autotune. Like yeah, that's tight. And then The Dream also like he's like a songwriter that became a singer and he doesn't have the conventional R&B voice and I'm self-aware enough to know that I don't have a conventional voice and you know to know that those two really pioneered the way for me to like have it be okay that someone with like a voice like mine to make music, like it means that it's inspiring, you know. That's where I derive a lot of inspiration too.
Oh, yeah, man, because those are just two people who said, hey, this is what I have,
Yeah.
but this is what I can do with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You kind of just have to like maximize your own personal potential.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And then, even like somebody like The Dream, like, it's kind of cool how like now I want to relate The Dream to you where you were doing like being a nurse and while also doing music at the same time. The Dream at one point, he was like, he had those like, 2 albums out? He's like, okay. Love, Hate, or whatever. He had like 2 albums out, and at the same time, he's over here writing songs for like Mariah Carey, and Beyonce, everybody, you know what I mean? And it's like he's doing 2 jobs at the same time. At the end of the day, dude, I believe we all have, I know we all have the same 24 hours.
Right.
And it's just a matter of like how you apply that to your everyday life. Like, do you want to apply it to music? Well, do your best. If you want to apply it to nursing, well, do your best over there. But just don't like slack off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like a point of contention for me. Like, what if I just put 100% into one thing? Like, I don't know how far I would be if I did 100% of myself to like nursing and how. You can't get famous off nursing, or I'm not saying that that's like the end goal or whatever, but like you can't unless I have like a new theory of nursing. But anyway, but like the point of contention for me is like, what if I just did 100% of myself to music and not and view nursing as a distraction, so to speak. Yeah, because I was watching a podcast snippet that said you gotta not half-ass yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, and I absolutely believe in that. Like that's why, like when it comes to like the music, I'm 100% putting my all in. With nursing, like I'm there, but I'm phoning it in sometimes.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're gonna quit being a nurse.
That's the end goal, but don't tell my parents that.
Hopefully they didn't make it to the end of this podcast. Dpih, man, like thank you again for coming through, man. I really
Absolutely,
appreciate
brother.
you, bro. Where can everybody find you and your music, man?
I'm mostly active on Instagram, so at Dpih, and you can find my stuff on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all those streaming platforms and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to ask you.
Sure.
So Dpih, it's not double penetration. It's Derek Portera.
Yeah, Portera. Yeah.
What's the IH?
Oh man. So okay, so it means is. Derek Portera is, and you won't believe this. What do you think the H stands for? Double penetration.
There's holy. There's holy was literally the first word that came in my head.
It's actually Hyphy.
Really?
For real, yeah.
Derek Portera is Hyphy?
Yeah, man.
My brother.
Yeah.
Hell fucking yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I have so much love for the
Oh
Bay,
my
man.
God.
And it's actually it was actually like a not like a typo, but like it was a mistake that it just people ran with. Like back in the MySpace days, you were able to do like statuses like Derek Portera is hungry or like is
Yes. It was like the location, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was at the time it was like I was popping out to like the Trackademics remix of
Tell Me When to Go.
Exactly. And I'm like, damn, I'm feeling hyphy. Derek Portera is hyphy right now. And I told my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend at the time, like, can you make me like a banner and all that stuff? Like, just, a banner, blah, blah. And then she didn't know that I didn't want to incorporate is hyphy on there. But the banner was like, Derek Portera is hyphy and all that stuff. And then people at school were like, oh, DPIH. I'm like, what do you mean? Derek Portera is hyphy? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna roll with that. So,
dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing and ironic at the same time because your name would literally not be DPIH without the social media that was popping at the time.
Exactly. Social media, man.
Man, so I guess the point of this entire podcast is the universe just works in its ways, and sometimes we don't know how it's gonna operate.
Absolutely, man.
I'm Nico Blitz. This is the lunch table, DPIH. Thank you, bro.
Nico, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yay! We both missed.